There is a moment you did not plan for. You are outside doing something ordinary. Pulling a weed. Setting down your coffee. Walking the same path you have walked 100 times. And a bird that has been in your yard for months, a bird you have watched and quietly hoped would come closer, lands. Not at the feeder. Not on the fence post 20 feet away. Somewhere near you. Close enough that you can see the individual feathers, close enough that you hold your breath without deciding to, close enough that something shifts in your chest that you do not have a clean word for. You have been showing up for a long time. Quietly, consistently, without demanding anything back. And now something is different. You can feel it. You just do not know yet what it means. This video is going to tell you exactly what it means. Welcome back to Backyard Bird Stories. Subscribe before you leave because what you are about to understand will change every morning you spend outside. Today we are going through 7 specific signs that the birds in your yard have moved past using your space and started choosing you. Not your feeder. Not your garden. You. A specific human being that specific wild creatures have assessed, studied, and decided after careful and unhurried evaluation that they can trust for life. Stay until the end because the last sign is the one that most people only recognize looking backward, and once you see it you will not be able to stop seeing it everywhere. Sign 1. They do not leave when you come outside. Every wild bird carries a number. Researchers call it the flight initiation distance. It is the point at which a perceived threat gets close enough that the bird's nervous system decides, leave now. This number is not fixed. It recalculates constantly based on the specific individual approaching. A stranger walking into your yard will flush birds from 50, sometimes 80 feet away. The birds do not know that person. They default to the safest assumption. But a human the bird has spent weeks observing, a human whose movements are familiar, whose pace is predictable, whose presence has never once escalated into threat, gets a shorter distance. Sometimes dramatically shorter. Research from the University of Exeter on urban garden birds documented that individual birds develop completely separate flight initiation distances for specific humans they have assessed versus unknown people moving through the same space. Same bird. Same yard. Completely different response depending on who was walking toward it. When the birds in your yard stay on the branch as you open the back door, when the cardinal holds its position as you pass underneath, when the chickadee keeps eating while you reach past it to fill the feeder, that is not indifference. That is a calculated decision with your name on it. They have assigned you a threat level and the number is low. Low enough to stay. Sign 2. They arrive when you appear, not just when the feeder is full. A bird using your yard as a food source is responding to the feeder. When it is full, the bird comes. When it is empty, the bird goes elsewhere. You are logistically irrelevant. The resource is the variable. But something else happens when a bird has incorporated you into its understanding of the world. It begins to track you. You step outside in the early morning, the feeder still empty, coffee still in your hand, and within a minute a familiar bird drops into the yard. Not because conditions changed. Because you appeared. And your appearance has become the signal. Researchers studying individual bird recognition in residential environments have documented what they describe as anticipatory behavior in birds that have formed strong positive associations with specific humans. The bird arrives before the food. It comes because you came. It has learned that where you are is where safety is, and safety is worth showing up for even before the reward arrives. The next time a bird appears right after you step outside, before you have done anything, before you have filled anything or offered anything, notice it. That is not a coincidence. That bird has been watching you. Sign 3. They warn you. This is the one that surprises people most. You are in the yard, not paying attention to the sky, and a bird nearby begins calling. Not its regular contact call. Something sharper. More urgent. You look up and there is a hawk circling. Or a cat at the fence line. Or something moving along the edge of the property that does not belong there. The bird told you. Birds that have incorporated a trusted human into their social world treat that human, to a meaningful degree, as a member of that world. When a predator enters the territory and the alarm call goes out, it goes to everyone in the immediate community. Other birds, yes. But also the known human who has been present long enough to be included in the calculation. You may have experienced this and filed it away as coincidence. A chickadee calling with unusual intensity from very close by. A blue jay scolding from directly above you with specific, deliberate persistence. A crow making a single sharp call aimed in your direction before going silent. They were telling you something. More than that, they were treating you as someone worth telling. That is a level of inclusion in a wild creature's social world that most people never earn. And almost no one recognizes it when they do. Sign 4. They follow you through the yard. This behavior is documented, it is real, and once you know to look for it you will see it consistently. Certain species, robins in particular, along with chickadees, Carolina wrens, and dark-eyed juncos, will follow a trusted human as they move through the yard. Not closely. They maintain a respectful distance. But persistently. You weed one bed and the robin appears in the disturbed soil just behind you. You move to the next bed and the robin moves with you. You carry tools to the shed and the robin is on the fence post watching. You sit in the garden chair and the chickadee finds the branch directly above your head. Birds that have watched a specific human work over time have learned what that person's movement means. Digging means exposed worms. Pruning means insect access. Your activity is a reliable signal and they have learned to read it. But they only follow the person they trust close enough to act on that signal. A stranger doing the same work in the same yard will not draw the same response. The robin will watch from the fence. It will not come close. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology refers to this as attendant behavior. Wild birds attending the work of a trusted human the way they would attend the foraging of another species that disturbs prey for them. You have become, to these birds, a known and useful and safe part of how the yard works. That is not a small designation. Sign 5. Their fledglings already know you. When a bird pair nests in your yard or close to it, the fledglings that hatch and leave that nest enter the world without their own independent assessment of you. What they have is their parents. Bird parents communicate the safety status of individuals in their territory to their young through behavior. Through whether they alarm call when you appear or continue feeding. Through whether they hold their ground when you approach or flush. Through where they position themselves when you are nearby. A fledgling that has watched its mother stay on the branch when you open the back door, that has watched its father keep eating when you refill the feeder, has received a message about you before you have exchanged a single interaction. You are safe. The message arrived before you did. And so the young bird, in the most vulnerable and impressionable weeks of its life, comes closer to you than it would to a stranger. Not because it is naive. Because it inherited something real, a reputation you built with its parents, and it is now beginning to verify that reputation for itself. If a juvenile bird with no prior direct experience of you behaves around you the way an experienced adult does, you are watching inherited trust. And if you remain consistent, that trust will become its own. Sign 6. They return to the places where you were calm together. Birds carry detailed spatial maps of their territories. These maps include food sources, water, shelter, and nesting sites, but they also include something less often discussed. The locations of safe social interactions. Research on black-capped chickadees and their spatial cognition has documented that these birds maintain memory of not just where resources are but where positive and negative experiences with specific individuals occurred. The corner of the porch where you sat still and a chickadee came close. The garden path where you moved slowly and the birds did not flush. The window where you watched them and they learned that the watching caused nothing. These locations are mapped. And birds return to them. Not just when food is present. When you are present. If a bird lands in its usual spot and looks toward the window where you normally sit, it is not looking at the window. It is looking for you. It has come back to where you were together and it wants to know if you are there. That is a wild animal navigating its world with you marked inside it as something worth returning to. Sign 7. They land on you. This is the rarest. Not every bird will reach this point. Not with every person. The species most likely to arrive here, to close that final distance entirely, are black-capped chickadees, tufted titmice, Carolina wrens, and with patience that has to be measured in seasons, northern cardinals. But when it happens, when a wild bird with no training, no conditioning, no food held out in invitation, simply lands on you, it is not an accident. It is not that the bird was confused or frightened or lost its sense of caution. The opposite is true. That bird has watched you across hundreds of interactions. It has tested what you do when it gets to 10 feet, then 5, then 2. It has noted your gaze and your pace and your hands. It has calculated how you move and how you stay still. It has run an extended, careful, unhurried assessment with nothing riding on it except its own survival. And at the end of all of that, it made a decision. You are not a threat to be monitored. You are not an unknown to be avoided. You are a known element in its world, and known elements do not require escape calculations. You are simply part of where it lives. Research on contact behavior between wild untrained birds and specific humans documents that this almost never occurs with strangers, with people who have made sudden movements, with people who have been unpredictable or inconsistent or absent for long stretches. It occurs with the person who showed up. Quietly, regularly, without demanding anything back. Who filled the feeder in February when there was nothing pleasant about standing outside. Who moved through the yard slowly enough that the birds had time to get used to the shape of it. Who gave the birds, day after day after day, no reason to leave. If a bird has ever landed on you, or come close enough that it could have, here is what that means. That bird looked at everything in its territory. Every human, every risk, every option. And it chose you. Not because you are special in some vague and general sense. Because you did the specific, daily, invisible work of being someone a wild creature could trust. That is not a coincidence. That is a life you built one quiet morning at a time. Tell me in the comments. Which of these 7 signs have you seen in your yard?